In the heart of darkest Africa, mysterious Rwanda is the land of 1,000 hills, where tribalism and hate have become a way of life and death. And yet, in the midst of this madness, half of the world's entire population of endangered mountain gorillas is trying to survive to the 21st century and beyond. An end to the horrors of the Civil War is far from certain. Yet Dr.Pascale Sicotte has put her own life on the line, returning to Rwanda to ensure the safety of these, the rarest of our primate ancestors. Six million people are crammed into Rwanda, the smallest and one of the poorest countries in Africa. Add to that 1 million returning refugees, and space to live and to grow food is at a premium. Volcanoes National Park is the home of Rwanda's 350 mountain gorillas, and yet their forest habitat is under siege. Humans and primates locked in a struggle for survival, both desperate to keep starvation at bay. Dr. Pascale Sicotte is returning from Canada to the Karisoki Research Centre to find out how the animals have survived the chaos of the Civil War.
I first came at Karisoki in 1987, and I came for 2 years because I was then doing my data collection for my PhD.
Pascale's PhD was building on the earlier work of the legendary Dian Fossey.
This is one of my study groups. It is unusually large. It contains 25 individuals.
From the moment she found herself in their company, Dr. Sicotte was captivated by the species. And no wonder. Along with the chimpanzees, these animals are the nearest the human race has to a living ancestor. We cannot help but acknowledge how in so many ways we resemble them. The world could not allow the mountain gorilla to perish, and that was why Pascale, who'd been evacuated during the Civil War, risked her life to return to Rwanda as the director of the Karisoki Research Centre.
As soon as I came back in October '94, I met with the people in the Rwandan government that are responsible for managing this forest and managing the tourism business and etc. And very rapidly we were able to establish a good working relationship.
She convinced the new government that these rare mountain gorillas were worth far more alive than dead.
The new government of Rwanda has been very helpful in letting the researchers resume their work. This willingness to help the researchers shows how important the gorillas are in their economy.
At Volcanoes National Park, Dr. Sicotte is reunited with her old team of trackers and porters from the base camp. Pascale is happy to be back with her old colleagues. But soon she'll learn about the legacy of the brutal war. Landmines have been planted in the forest, and already one young silverback's been killed. There's still tension between the tribes. Refugees are still filtering back, and understandably the trackers and their families are apprehensive. But there's more bad news in store for Pascale, and she seems to sense it as she passes the entrance to the famous Karisoki Gorilla Research Centre. It was Dian Fossey who founded Karisoki 30 years ago. Her work and devotion to the mountain gorillas made her a legend. By constant and detailed observation, she found out more about the gorillas than anyone else on Earth. She developed a strong bond with a curious and adventurous young adolescent whom she called Digit because of the deformed fingers on one hand. By imitating his behavior, Diane Fossey captured the animal's innate curiosity. Finally, Digit lost his fear and felt comfortable enough to sit beside this alien being. In time, Digit would become a most remarkable friend. The Western world was captivated.
Digit was killed in 1977 by poachers. And as a result, she decided to set up this foundation so that she could attract donations to help fund more anti-poaching patrols and to pursue her work in terms of conservation.
However, Diane had made many enemies as a result of her work, and she too met a violent end some years later at the hands of an unknown assailant. With her death, the mountain gorillas lost their first great champion. According to her wishes, she was buried in the forest near her camp, next to her beloved friend, Digit. In her turn, Pascale came to live here and called this little cabin home. But even Karisoki couldn't escape the civil strife.
It's really heartbreaking to come up and to realize that all the work that has been put in here is gone. But really, I must say that these whole events that happened in the past, like 2.5 years in the region, the civil war here, all this could have been so much worse for the gorillas. I mean, all this could have been so much more dramatic in terms of loss of gorillas, that in a sense, losing camp, of course, it's dramatic, but camp can be rebuilt, and that's what we will do. I came to specifically study gorillas because they have a very interesting phenomenon which you don't see in many primates, and it's the fact that females transfer out of their natal group at sexual maturity.
Like chimpanzees and humans, female gorillas leave home at puberty and join another family. The females directly join another group that they bump into in the forest. The males too leave their family unit, take off by themselves and live a solitary existence for some years, roaming in the forest, looking for a mate, until finally they're successful in wooing a young female away to start their own family group. Gorilla families can have anything up to 35 members. Normally there'll be only one mature male called a silverback because of his colouring, together with his harem of a few mature females and their offspring. The silverbacks protect the mothers and their own young, but male gorillas from outside the group will regularly kill another male's offspring given the chance. So the family unit is vital to survival. This extended family has a silverback team leader called Pablo. He's the son of two of Diane Fossey's most formidable gorillas, Beethoven and Effie.
Amongst the old females, you have Puck, for example, who's the daughter of Effie. You have also Maggie, who's a daughter of Effie. Most of the females have either a very young baby or a youngster below 3 years of age.
For the moment, Pablo is the undisputed patriarch. If you're in his group, you listen. But he has an understudy, a younger silverback called Kantsby, who sometime soon could be challenging Pablo for his job as team leader.
Behind me there's a young female, and her name is Makuba. Makuba is the daughter of Puck, and Effie's family, it's very interesting because they're really big females, usually dominant females, really self-assured, and I like them very much. So Makuba, she's on the way to be a very nice adult female, I think. Now this young female here, she just came and she did a slight display at me. It's the end of the rest period, so, you know, they're a bit excited. They exchange vocalizations, and she's still doing it now. She just wants to impress me and the other individuals. So now that's fine, she's moving away. After you follow gorillas for a while, you know them by face because they have very distinctive facial features. It's very much like if you look at two humans, you know how to distinguish them. But then at the beginning, when you don't know them very well, you can use the nose prints. And these nose prints are just above the nostril, and they're as distinctive between individuals as the fingerprints would be.
Diane Fossey was the first person to document gorilla society and work out who was who, and what the strange ritual of chest beating was all about.
When a gorilla chest beat, it's a display. It's a display of aggressiveness that can be directed to another male, or sometimes that can be directed at a female. He wants to show that he's strong. But you see chest beating in other contexts as well. I mean, when infants are playing, they will stand up and beat their chest, and it's a sign of excitement in that case. Gorillas spend most of their day feeding. They feed in the morning, they feed in the afternoon, and typically at midday they have a rest period. The only thing that you can be sure of is that when you go see a gorilla group, you will see a lot of feeding because the vegetation that they eat is abundant, but it's relatively low quality. So they need to feed a lot in order to get all they need as far as the energy is concerned. They eat all sorts of vegetation in that forest. They eat wild celery, nettles, thistles, gallium, bamboo shoots. They eat up to 150 plants. They don't eat meat at all, and that's very different than the chimpanzees. They're close relatives. Chimpanzees hunt extensively and eat meat. They like meat very, very much. But gorillas do not hunt, do not eat meat, and I don't think they would even taste it if you would give it to them.
Their vegetarian diet presents a problem not uncommon in humans.
The two young males that we see here, just 30 seconds ago, one of them displaced the other one, probably because he was feeding in his spot. And now he's going back. What happened is the young blackback, who's just here, went back up the hill because he wanted to get back to his position where he was feeding. And he was displaced aggressively. There's a female in front of me. She's a bit close. We have about 2 meters between each of us. She's a new female in Pablo's group. She just transferred from the Sousa group. Gorillas are interesting because when two groups meet, the males, the silverbacks, will display. Now we hear somebody coming this way, so that's why she's looking this way. So the silverbacks display at each other. That's okay. It's just a small fight in gorillas. That happens regularly. And this one here, I don't know. I cannot see who he or she is. But we have a blackback ahead of us who's still looking quite annoyed because he has pursed lips like that. And I'm just going to move slightly on the side because I don't want to be in the way. And I make this vocalization just to let them know that I'm here, but that I'm fine, that I'm not aggressive. And they know that. Although this blackback here coming towards the female or towards me, he is annoyed because he has, as I said earlier, the pursed lips. He's displaying at the female. He's not displaying at me. In the past, one of the main perceptions of gorillas was that these animals were extremely aggressive and would attack very ferociously. And then I think there's been a reverse tendency to perceive the gorillas as extremely gentle, peaceful vegetarians. And I think the right picture is probably somewhere in between, where even though it's true that they're relatively peaceful most of the time, gorillas can also be very, very ferocious.
When an old daddy silverback finds his harem under siege by an outsider, he gets understandably upset. Mountain gorillas will fight to the death, protecting their young. In the past, for every baby taken by poachers, at least 6 adults lost their lives. Mountain gorillas appreciate their siesta, their mid-afternoon rest period when they cuddle up close and let their morning meal digest in peace. It's a time for gorilla mothers to nurture and groom their young. It's a time when the sun's high and mothers' groups can sit in the shade and swap parenting tips. And it's a time for the young to find their feet in the big, wide forest world, as well as learning how to stand up for yourself and discover just where you fit into the scheme of things. And it's also time to ensure the future of the species.
Male gorillas reach sexual maturity at the age of 15, although at the age of 12 they're already silver. The gorillas now, I mean, they breed. They're very, we cannot hope for them to be more successful in terms of reproduction. Females give birth every 4 years, on average. The female, during her whole reproductive life, can have on average 3 offspring. However, because there's certain proportion of infant mortality, like in any wild population.
The mountain gorillas are struggling to expand their numbers, but their biggest problem is the population explosion of another species just beyond their domain. Almost all of Rwanda's 6 million people eke out a life of peasant drudgery on tiny 2-acre farms. The last thing on these farmers' minds is the survival of the gorillas that take up land that they could be using to feed their families. The new Rwandan government, with the help of conservation groups such as the Dian Fossey Gorilla Fund, are desperately trying to keep these square miles of rainforest intact, and so ensure that the park can remain a safe haven for Rwanda's gorillas. Educational campaigns and money from the Gorilla Fund has helped to put an end to the poaching of these intriguing animals. For the last 30 years, a large portion of the salaries of armed trackers and anti-poaching patrols working in the forest has been funded by international donations. But perhaps the greatest source of hope is that the new government continues to encourage ecotourism.
The single most important thing that needs to be done to save the gorilla is simply to maintain its habitat. For that, it means that tourism has to start again so that money comes in the country, so that money is available to fund anti-poaching patrol, money is available for the people living around the forest as well, so that they do not have to cut down trees. There are only about 600 mountain gorillas. So this is really a population which obviously needs to be protected because it's so small. And I think it has all the chances in the world to survive, given that the habitat is there to support them.
The importance of preserving these animals for our children and for our children's children cannot be overstated. We share 99% of our genetic material with these magnificent creatures.
The best part of working with mountain gorillas is to be able to be with them. Quite simply. Be able to follow them, be able to sit with them, be able to record those behaviors and try to understand a bit better day after day what they do. Going to see them every day and following the same individuals means that you know their stories and you know what goes on in their life. So you develop special tenderness for some individuals because you follow them so closely. And so, quite obviously, you become quite fond of these animals.
If you look deep into the eyes of a mountain gorilla, the gap between us, human and ape, all but disappears. We see how close we really are. This is a fellow primate that holds the key to our evolutionary past. To allow that key to disappear without trace would be one of the human race's greatest follies.